Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Nuance Needed podcast. I'm Amanda.
And this is Sam.
And we're here with part 2 because the first part of our burnout episode was just us talking about it, and we didn't get to any of your questions.
So this episode is going to be all of your questions, and we circled back quite a bit to part 1. So make sure you go back, give part 1 a listen, and then jump over here to part 2.
And if you are dealing with burnout or struggling with it, and you want a more organized understanding of burnout, our suggestions, our tips, what to do, questions to ask yourself, and it would be helpful to see this written out, be sure to subscribe to our Substack because we are going to have a huge, whole post about burnout and a deep dive into all these concepts.
Yeah, it's going to be written out, laid out in a much more organized way, especially if you are a visual person.
Yeah.
So nuanceneeded.substack.com. Go check it out.
And let's get into the questions. So a lot of them were about jobs, obviously. But I think a really interesting thread that people kept saying is, do I need a vacation or do I need a new job? What do you think, Sam? How do you discover that answer? I would say take a vacation. And if you still hate your job, maybe you need a new job.
If you like you have to do the thing to know if that is the solution or if that is the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Because I know I got to a space where the time off was the Band-Aid. And I knew even if I had had a relaxing, restful time away, it felt like I only made up 5% when I got back to work. And it felt like that would go away really quickly when I got back into the grind of it. So I think if you're wanting to take the vacation, just take the vacation. Yeah. And if you come back and you feel better and you feel more rested, more hopeful, more grounded in your perspective and your approach, then you just needed some time away and you needed a break. If you come back, and even if you had the best vacation of your life, if the second you get back to work, you feel the same as you did when you left, it's the job.
Yeah. I think also on that note, as someone who can be impulsive, I think it's helpful to really check in with yourself of, is this a current situational issue at work? Is this I don't like what I'm, I don't like the current project I'm on. Do I not like the, my current caseload or the people that I'm working with?
My team.
Yeah. Is this something that can change in the future? Yes. Are there opportunities for growth? Are there opportunities to move laterally? Are there opportunities to just do something different? Or is this really what all there is, sort of? And I think thinking out those options, because one thing that if we're talking about fight, flight, or freeze, I am more of a runner. When things get hard, I'm pull the plug, be done, I'm off. That is my default response. But I know that about myself, and I think that's a really helpful thing to know. But one thing that I try to do a lot is recognize my first thought about something is not really my intuition. My first thought as a result of stress is typically anxiety or fear. And I really am a believer in intuition or knowing or whatever you want to call it is more quiet. It is more still. It is patient. If you feel like you're going to change your mind if you don't do it right now, it is probably your intuition. And I'm not talking about it as you're working up the courage that you've been thinking about quitting your job for a while and you need to push yourself over that line. Yeah. I'm just saying, if you have a lot of just impulsive thoughts about whenever something is bad, you're going to just leave or quit or get a new job or something like that, that might be time for some reflection of, as you would say, Sam, how am I contributing to this dynamic? It doesn't mean even that you need to stay in that job. Like your contribution to the dynamic might be that you keep picking jobs that don't work for you, or you're not being realistic, or you're overcommitting, or whatever it is. But that's where you can find some agency.
Yeah. I think something that was crucial to giving me a longer battery life was kind of like what I said earlier, was this idea of I was choosing it. I think that was like an empowering reframe for me to realize that like I was choosing to stay while trying to find other options, while trying to explore how other things could work, while building up my private practice caseload, you know, like doing all those things. And, you know, like you said, part of this is spending time getting to know you. Like what you have to get really specific if we're talking about like a job, which I think is kind of the more like traditional form of burnout. If you're talking about a job, you need to get like crystal clear on where you're at, what you need, what is this job lacking, what does this job have that's working, right? Like, is it the career? You know, and that opens up like a broader question, because I know a big thing for me was when I was like knee deep in the hospital, I was like, I have done everything in my life wrong.
Yeah, you're like
I
I'm
literally
gonna
was
go
looking
be a
up how
lawyer.
to literally, I was like looking up law schools. I was like, I can go to Harvard Law. Like, one of like my best friends, her husband, he's in the Ivy system, and at the time he was based at Yale. And I was like, I could have gone to Yale. Like, I was visiting her, walking around campus, and I was like, I could have gotten in here. Like these stupid kids. Like, if my brother hadn't been disabled, and my parents didn't need so much, like I would have gotten it. You know, like it was the whole thing, guys. It was. Don't worry, I had help while I was going through this, but no, like what I realized was it wasn't that I hated my career. I hated what I was doing within it. And I noticed when I got to private practice and I was able to have more of that autonomy, and I was able to choose like the people that I work with and have more of like a long-standing professional relationship with them, things felt much brighter and much more hopeful. And also I moved to a company that actually cared about me. Like Therapy for Women cared about me. Intermountain Health did not care about me. And I say that very confidently. And I think for the job, you just have to spend some time getting in touch with you again and making those lists. Write it all out. Leave nothing on the table. Like just put everything out there, all of your thoughts. And then from there, you can kind of start to make sense of, okay, do I just need time away? Do I need to start looking for other jobs? Are there people that I can rely on, right? Like what you were kind of talking about earlier with this idea of like making changes, I kind of address it as it's either cosmetic or structural.
Say more about that.
Right? Like for me, there were cosmetic things I could have done to maybe buy myself more time. I could have structured my schedule a little differently. I could have moved down in hours. I could have been more picky about who I worked with, because that made a big difference. You know, those were kind of like these cosmetic elements that are low-hanging fruit to actually change and make different pretty quickly. Structural is often when we're talking about the system that you're working in. So like not getting pay raises, even though they promised it to us. Not being able to change the inherent requirements of the job. Not being able to change where I fell on the spectrum of like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like respect, really, in the emergency room. Those are things that I can't change. And if I can't live within the structural while making cosmetic changes, that's where you start to realize like I can't live in this system.
That is such a good way to explain it, Sam. I love that. I think that's going to help a lot of people understand, like, is this my job or is this me? And can I, because a lot of people asked, how do I recover from burnout while still showing up to work?
Well, in relation to that, I think the cosmetic could also be, do you need to change your routine? Do you need a much more distinct morning routine and nighttime routine? Do you need to be asking for more help from people in your personal life to help carry you through some things? do you need to be seeing a therapist more often? Are you seeing your therapist right now every other week or once a month, and maybe you need to button down and see him once a week? Like, those are cosmetic things that you have the immediate control over to try to do something to change. And if you're like changing the furniture and you're painting and you're hanging up new pictures and you're like, I hate everything about this place, then that's there's kind of more of your answer.
Yeah, like especially I think if it's like, to add on, I think other structural changes to it, if it's like not values aligned for you.
Yes.
Like I think that's a really big one too, because it is draining to, or like if you can't be authentic or be yourself, that's going to add a layer of having to pretend is going to be draining. So yeah, but I think some of those low hanging fruit, like you said, are lifelines that you can use if you aren't able to quit your job, or if you're not ready to, or you don't know yet. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about in the first episode of this, part 1, of like getting really ruthless and really clear about what are the aspects of your life that are being drained, and where are you getting positive things filling you up from? Like, can you go on a walk every day, even though you don't have 5 minutes to do it, but you know that is time, even though you feel like you don't have time, that actually gives you back tenfold, for example. Or even like, I think it's really hard because when you're a parent, your capacity and flexibility diminishes so much that it can put a lot more, like it can make your job a lot more stressful and more difficult. Like when you're dealing with daycare sickness or not sleeping, right? All of these things, it can reveal cracks that were already there maybe in your job issues. Or especially, I think a huge thing too is like uneven, like, division of mental labor and emotional labor in the home. Like, do you need to talk to your significant other about helping with the kids more, about, and it's so hard, I think, with some of these structural changes too, because even just saying like, do you need to ask, your partner to help more? That takes energy to do. And that is the cynical nature of burnout, is to get out of burnout, you have to expend energy that you don't have. So my, like recommendation is get really ruthless, cut, like how I kind of think about burnout too, is like, I do the bare minimum essentials of everything that I need, and then anything else is bonus. It's kind of like the spoons theory, if you've heard of that, for like people who have chronic pain and disabilities and stuff. It's like you literally are like, okay, and I do this with clients a lot where I'm like, okay, you have to eat. Like you have to eat a certain amount, but can we make eating easier? Like, can you get a meal prep service? Can you just have like smoothies for one of your meals? Can you eat the same thing? Can you wear the same thing every day? Can we reduce decision fatigue as much as possible? If you have the ability to, what can you outsource? Can you get someone to help you with, a couple hours on the weekend so you can recharge, away from your kids? Can you, get Instacart to have your groceries delivered? Like thinking about the things that don't add value to your life and just drain you, if you can outsource them, trying to do that and really focus on the bare minimum that you need and dramatically lowering your expectations. Because I also think one thing we don't talk about enough is that the shame that you're adding to being burned out, the judgment you have about yourself, is a huge expense that you do have control over to stop breaking the cycle. It's very hard to do, but that is what's so insidious about it, is then we beat ourselves up about being burned out and not doing enough. And that is a lot of mental energy that we're wasting.
The part specifically where you talked about kind of all of these different ideas of like, how do you make your life easier, right? I think, and this is what I'm about to say, is something that I had to say to myself. So please know, like, I'm holding your hand while I say what I'm about to say. We oftentimes create barriers to change because we are so afraid of, exactly like you said, the effort that it will require to change.
Yep.
Right. And there are a lot of really creative options that you could think of if you allowed yourself the time to think of them, that could maybe provide some solutions that seem really small, but might be monumental in your day to day. And I think going along with what you said of kind of like the shame, right? Listen, babes, if shaming yourself worked, you wouldn't be here. If shaming yourself and beating yourself up and speaking shittily to yourself every day made the difference, you wouldn't be here. You wouldn't feel this miserable. You wouldn't feel this stressed. You wouldn't feel this overwhelmed. You wouldn't feel this confused. So let's just like put that down for a minute. It's not about getting rid of it. It's not about saying I can't do that anymore. It's that we're not going to listen to only that voice. Let's like allow ourselves the chance to listen to a voice that is a little more creative and allows room for some broader options, some broader approaches, and isn't so rigid in how it needs to be applied, right? Because something that's hard too, I think when you're in the burnout stages, you are so flooded, solutions are overwhelming. And you can get into a space where it's like, well, that's not going to work because of this, and that's not going to work because of this, because you're so used to things not working. Like I remember I felt that way. I was so used to everything failing. I was so used to everything not working. People would bring me suggestions and I would be like, shut up! Like, you don't know my life! I would get so mad. When really I was kind of like self-sabotaging and not allowing myself room to really explore like what was available to me. And so, you know, I would really encourage you, if you find yourself like struggling with all these heavy emotions, but then you're like, but I feel bad. That, I get it. I get it. I've been there. I felt like a failure. I felt like everybody else on my team was able to manage the job better than I was. And I realized I had different layers of trauma than everyone else.
There you go. Bingo.
I had different layers of trauma than everyone else that made that situation more difficult. And I had to embrace that truth of mine. And that was really powerful for me when I was able to realize like, oh, maybe it's not just me. Maybe I'm just in the wrong system. And that's okay. And I know for my teacher friends, maybe you need a new school, right? Maybe you need a new team. Maybe for my office girlies, like maybe you need a new team. Maybe you need to work under a new boss. Maybe it is a change that big. Or maybe it's that stop waking up with 10 minutes only to get ready. Like if you feel that you need more time, make yourself get up and have the time. That's been a huge thing for me that I realized like in the morning, I have to work out before my clients. If I am going to work out, I have to do it before. It gets me in the right frame of mind and I need to give myself enough time. And I'm also been kind of bad at that. And for my clients that are first in the morning, I'm so sorry I'm always on at 10:03. Okay. I'm working on it. I'm trying to get better. But I know that I need to do that. And so allowing yourself space to be creative with the solutions, own your truth and your reality that is shaping the situation, and allow yourself to give the effort knowing that it is going to take you where you want to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Can we also say, and this is a really hard one because literally we talked about this morning, like we've both been talking about being better with boundaries with social media and on our phone and stuff. I've been using Brick and I'm obsessed with it. And Sam has been using Opal. So
yes,
you know, look into those. It was very funny because Sam and I saw the same email this morning. But so I had bricked my phone all weekend. I was feeling so much more recharged.
Posted about it in your stories.
Yes, I did very, confidently. And I woke up this morning not scrolling on social media, but I opened my email and the first thing I saw was an email about, the current state of the world. And it led me to just be like, when is the best time to look at devastating content? When is the best time for me to have an existential spiral about what kind of world my daughter is going to inherit? Is it in the morning so it ruins my day? Is it in the middle of the day so that I can't focus for the rest of the day? Or is it at night because then I can't sleep? I don't know. You tell me.
And that's the really hopeful note we're going to leave this on. No. What I would say to that is it goes back to what I was talking about in like the very beginning of the last episode, which is information versus interpretation of information. And also news versus possibility. Right? And I think sometimes some of these content creators who we follow and we absolutely love, right, in the maybe more political space, the news space, there is an element of they kind of have to play the game, the algorithm game. As responsible as they try to be with it, right, there still kind of is an element of they try to catch your attention. Everybody does it. It's the whole, it's the currency that we live with, right, is trying to get people's attention. And so I sometimes have to take a step back and I will check myself and say, am I in a headspace to read this?
Yeah.
Like, but when I see the title.
The title is the problem. The title spiraled me.
When I see the title, I will literally be like, you know what?
I think I need to make
Maybe
a separate email for them. Like a folder.
Ooh, that would be good.
You know, like an email folder.
That would be smart.
So that I'm not just like, bam, hit with it when I'm half asleep in bed.
You just need a picture of a mushroom cloud as the thumbnail. And then you're like, if you're feeling really bold and brave.
Because I did reduce on social media. I've reduced a lot because I was just like, I can't day to day, just like all day be interrupted. No. It is so unproductive and unhelpful. But yeah, I think I need to be more strategic maybe about, because I signed up for a bunch of email subscriptions, which is good. But especially they like go to my work email and it's like, bam, in the morning.
Worst case scenario. Are you ready? Yeah. I had to like aggressively trim down my Substack.
So many amazing people. I want to follow them all.
So many. I know. I wanted to support them so bad. Like Erin Parnas, baby. Like I love you so much. You're such a cute little Gen Z newscaster. But I cannot hear you say breaking news 7 times a day. I
think I'm going to go into settings because I think you can change it so that you don't just get emails. You get it like shows up. Like you can follow. Yeah, it like shows up in the back end.
You follow instead of like subscribe.
Or like I think you can change the email settings on the back end. And P.S. subscribe to our Substack if you haven't already.
It's great. We are a little more calm.
We are.
We're not talking about the news. Sometimes, maybe. Depends.
But we will never have a title that says
no
breaking news.
That talks about pronatalism.
I love you, Emily. I just couldn't handle it.
I love you, Emily. So much. We want you on the podcast so bad, but I can't handle reading about birthers.
I think she would really respect that, though. She talks about that. She talks about like, make sure you're in the headspace to do this.
Also, Jessica Valenti, she is doing the Lord's work. Lord's work with repro rights, and I don't know how she does it because I can't listen.
I know.
I listen.
I subscribe.
I'll save it.
Yeah, I need like a month summary of all the bad things that happened.
Everything that went wrong in March. I do just enough to know what's going on. And then I have to distance because I can't give up. I can't lay down and die. And this amount of information is what causes you to lay down and be useless. And a populace in panic is not a populace that can rally and protest. So if you are in panic mode, that is not a helpful space for you to be.
Yes.
And I need you to take a step back, take 10 deep breaths, turn your phone off, and allow yourself space to like live your life. Like, for example, I have picked up painting.
Oh yeah, I know. You're like a really good painter. No, seriously. I'm like the most art challenged person ever. Like I've gone to like group bachelorettes where we've had to like draw things for fun. And mine is always like 900 times worse than everyone else. Like I don't understand like shadows or dimensions. I'm very literal. I just like draw circles and color. Shapes.
Are you doing a sun in the corner? I'm actually right now, I'm painting the folklore cabin.
Oh my God, I love that. Combining two great things.
But yeah, I literally, like the other night, I literally like shut off my phone. Well, I turned on the Opal app.
I mean, I do think we're kind of circling around also. This is as hard as this is, like,
yes,
you do have some control over shaming yourself.
Yes.
And really trying to dramatically limit how much information you're taking in.
Yeah.
How many decisions you're making. I love a good, like, I call it like mind shut off activity. Like I'll listen to like one song on repeat. And I'll do a puzzle. Or I will like listen to reruns of something. So I like don't have to pay attention, but I like do something with my hands. Unfortunately, a lot of those things involve like hunching over. They like really hurt your back. Like puzzling is not good on your back.
No. I have to sit on the floor to do mine. I have like a giant canvas thing that I like lay out. But anyway.
How do we support someone with burnout? Lots of people also ask that.
That's a good one. Twofold. One, be patient. Okay. Understand that they are in a volatile emotional space and they don't have much to give. So be patient. And boundaries. Right? Like if this is, someone, if you're asking this, I'm assuming this is someone that you know or are close to and have rapport with. And I think sometimes it's okay. Like I needed people in my life to remind me, like, but are you taking care of yourself? Are you doing what you need to be doing? Are you actually like prioritizing what you need, or are you just like assuming that you are, And that was like a really helpful call in for me when people would say that. And it was done with love and respect and wasn't aggressive, but people would be like, but are you? And I would have to be like, no. Yeah. But yeah, just be patient, extend them some grace, but also like, don't be afraid to check in with a little bit of accountability and kind of be like, well, what have you done today? Like, but also, I guess the third part and final part that I would add to that is do not work harder than them. I think that's the big key. Don't try to step in and fix it because they're just going to butt you to death because they're not ready to do it. But just kind of prod as needed.
I also think not taking it personally. I think it's really hard when someone's struggling with burnout because especially if it's like your partner or a good friend of yours, it's like they're sick. Like I wish we would talk about burnout as like it is like an injury essentially. And like so they may not be how they used to. Their capacity might be not be the same to spend time with you. They may be slower to respond to things. And I think you treat it just like if someone was injured, what would you do? You would like probably, send them food. You would maybe stop by. Yeah. You would, sometimes asking how can I help isn't helpful. It's, I like the strategy a lot of sort of, do something, send them something. And I'm sure, Sam, you could talk even more about this as like someone who has basically been a professional caretaker. But yeah, I think that not taking it personally, being compassionate are two important things for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Just remember to be taking care of you in the process. Learn from other people's mistakes.
And I think the other thing too is, some people ask sort of like, how do I resolve it without feeling guilty? And I think it is, we were talking about shame and guilt, and I think a lot of people are like, I'm going to only do something if I don't feel guilty about doing it. And it's like, you're going to feel guilty regardless, so you should just do it.
Just do it. Just like hold hands with your guilt and be like, we're doing this together. And the first few times I do it, I'm not going to feel great about it because it's new and it's hard and it's uncomfortable and it's putting me first and I'm not used to doing that. So we're just going to go hand in hand.
Yeah. And if we think of it like an injury, like I think this, extends to like mental health stuff too, but we treat someone having a physical injury so different than having a mental health issue. And, I think sometimes remembering that being like, well, if I had broken my foot, would I feel guilty for taking time off? Right? Or if I had done, if I had gotten into a car accident, would I feel guilty about asking for help or being slower to respond? And sometimes framing it that way can help ease guilt. Well, we hope you enjoyed these 2 parts. We only had set out to do one episode, but you all had so many questions. And as always, we love, love, love hearing from you. So you can email us at podcast@therapyforwomencenter.com, or you can call us and leave us a message at 813-444-8683. We would love to be able to have enough questions that we could do a whole fun Q&A question episode.
And also, as per usual, we are independent. We're doing this on our own little tiny shoulders. And so if you could rate, review, subscribe, anything that you can do to help get the word out, share with your friends, let them know, it would mean the world to us.
Thank you so much for listening. We know there is, as we talked about, so much content in the world. So we are honored that you spent the last episode with us.
Yeah. Thank you.